Running a business can be exhausting. Building your website shouldn't be. With Wix, you can express your ideas, give direction, then leave the heavy lifting to AI, from site creation to branded content and images. Have fun with the details. Customize what you want the way you want, and manage your whole business from a centralized dashboard with expert AI tools. Build, scale, and enjoy the incredible results. You can do it all yourself on Wix.
Do Crohn's disease symptoms keep coming back? Tremfya guselkumab may help. At 12 weeks, rapid symptom remission was achieved in most patients taking Tremfya, and some experienced visible improvement of their intestinal lining at 12 weeks and 1 year. Individual results may vary. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Explore what's possible and ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
This podcast is supported by Talkspace.
When my husband came home from his military deployment, readjusting was hard for all of us. Thankfully, I found Talkspace.
Talkspace provides professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatric providers online. Military members, veterans, and their dependents ages 13 and older can get fast access to providers, all from the privacy of their computers or smartphones.
I just answered a few questions online, and Talkspace matched me with a therapist. We meet when it's convenient for me, and I can message her anytime. It was so easy to set up, and they accept TRICARE. Therapy was going so well, my husband and I started seeing a couples therapist through Talkspace too.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, including TRICARE. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com/military. Go to Talkspace.com/military to get started today. That's Talkspace.com/military.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Good to have you on board as we're live in Las Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino is the spot. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard here on a Tuesday. All this MLB action going on. And there's no other person I'd rather talk to about this sport right now than Matt Vasgersian, Major League Baseball Network, and he joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Good afternoon, Matt. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
You got it, guys. Great. I mean, you could make an argument. Of course, the World Series is great. League Championship Series are great, but I love days like this where there's multiple games going on. Early postseason is the most fun for me in any sport.
Absolutely love it. 4 games. One is over. Detroit beat Houston 3-1. So the early theme here with that game and now KC and Baltimore, that's 1-0 Royals, and they're in the bottom of the 8th. Royals nobody's on. They might get out of this here to go to the 9th. We'll see. Low-scoring games. It looks like that might flip in the Brewers-Mets game. Brewers up 2-0, but now the Mets with runners on first and second and nobody out. But this is postseason baseball, right? So generally speaking, probably not a lot of offense, you think, or no?
I mean, wildly unpredictable. On a day like today and the beginning of every series, when ostensibly each of these teams has their staff ace lined up, or the teams that have the opportunity for that, you wouldn't expect a lot of offense, but there are exceptions too. I mean, beyond this one, we still don't know who's pitching for Baltimore in Game 2. They haven't announced the starter yet. We know it's Seth Lugo for Kansas City. If Kansas City can steal Game 1, they're in really nice shape the way their pitching is lined up. Another exception would be the late game tonight. And that, for me, that's the one that's the most interesting. The Braves in San Diego. San Diego's completely lined up. They're perfectly lined up, with the exception of missing their shortstop, and that's not to be underestimated. Their pitching is completely fresh and lined up. You cannot say anything remotely like that for the Braves, who are they're going to start a guy today. I don't know how long they expect Smith Shawver to go tonight, but he spent most of the season in Double and Triple A. They really didn't have any other option. Ian Anderson coming off Tommy John, who hasn't pitched a lot. Their bullpen is in even worse shape than their starting rotation. We don't think Chris Sale's available. If the Braves can somehow steal one tonight, the market's going to reflect that. And I think the Padres still are in better shape than Atlanta. But tonight might be the one that gets away from the Braves. I mean, they've played 3 games in the last 48 hours, and they had to go deep into the bullpen on Sunday. They had to go deep into the bullpen yesterday because they were trying to salvage game 1 of that thing so as not to rely on Grant Holmes in game 2, but he was great. So I think the team that's in the worst spot right now is the Braves, and the market certainly respects that with San Diego coming in at -$2.
Yes, I've been watching MLB Network and your network nonstop here the last couple weeks. So many people picking the Padres to go to the World Series. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's the first thing you should do is run away from that when it's the sexy pick, right? You're right, though. Everybody's on them, Pauly. I mean, and for the right reasons, too. Like, their pitching staff, their starting staff is so good that they've got Yu Darvish pitching in relief. And Darvish was excellent when he came back after that prolonged absence. So Michael King today, who's been a better version of Michael King in San Diego than he ever was as a Yankee because they've changed his pitch mix and he's been terrific. And then you've got, pick your poison. Musgrove in game 2, and if you need Dylan Cease, you got Dylan Cease in game 3.
Sure.
Not to mention their bullpen is outstanding. So that's why I think everybody's in love with San Diego as a sexy dog.
Right. And then who would the Dodgers throw? Right. If that's the matchup, who can you trust in the Dodgers rotation?
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting because we wouldn't think that the Dodgers would have to behave like a small market team in how to extract magic out of a pitching staff that they've invested so much money into. We get it with the Brewers, right? The Brewers, they used 17 starting pitchers this year. They had 12 guys get saves. And when you hear those kind of numbers, it's usually attached to a crappy team. But that wasn't the case. The Brewers are very good. And that beyond today with Freddie Peralta, they're gonna mix and match in really weird ways. I spent some time talking to Pat Murphy about that, their manager, not too long ago. And they're very comfortable with it. They've done it all year. The Dodgers haven't done it all year. They're faced with having to do this so as to keep their playoff fates alive. The Brewers won that way all season. So they're in a much more comfortable spot when it comes to recon pitching staffs.
How surprised were you not only with the incredible run with Detroit making the playoffs, and then they go into Houston and steal game 1, 3-1 was the final score. Skubal didn't give up a run. Adjusted series price, Detroit now -160.
Wow. That's a big number. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that it was low scoring. I just thought it was going to go the other way. I thought that Framber, with all the postseason experience, better at home, everything lining up in his favor, a much more seasoned postseason team. I thought that Detroit, despite the fact that they made that great push since the middle of August to get there, at some point the magic runs out, and I thought that maybe it would be today. Skubal's that good, though. He's that much of a difference maker. But to lay -160, even though they need to only win one more game, that's another team that's going to have to get creative with its starting pitching.
Yep.
You think they wish they had Jack Flaherty back? Oh, my God, they didn't see this run coming.
Yep.
Okay, by the way, we have an update. The Royals got out of it. Orioles had 2 guys on with 2 outs. So now we'll go to the top of the 9th. KC clinging to a 1-0 lead. And Matt, that lead by the Brewers, 2 in the first off Severino, short-lived. Peralta already gave 3 back in the top of the 2nd.
Oh, boy. Fastball Freddie, who hasn't really been Fastball Freddie this year. And his thing is this. I don't know how it's worth watching for in-game players, but if his secondary stuff gets hit early, he shies away from it. And he'll go fastball only. I mean, I saw that first inning. He threw 1 curveball. He was fastball changeup the whole time. I'd be curious what got hit when he gave up the 3 in the 2nd inning. But maybe, those 2 teams played over the weekend against one another. Milwaukee took 5 out of 6 from the Mets during the regular season. Mm-hmm. But there's a big-time familiarity quotient there. And I don't know who it favors, pitching or hitting, when you've just played an opponent to end a regular season, and you match up with them again 3 days later with everything on the line.
Great point. Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Matt Vasgersian, MLB Network, our guest. Do you have any player props circled for tonight that you like in this Padres and Braves game?
I don't really, I haven't looked at much. I know that the numbers were super short in the Houston-Detroit game in terms of total bases and base hits. They're always real juicy because when you're playing somebody to go over a half a hit or over a half a total base, you're laying anywhere from minus 150 to minus 275 in some cases. The one thing that I thought I liked as far as a player number was Framber strikeouts. And then I looked at it and it was 6.5. And I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. I don't know what he finished with, but that was the one thing I thought was interesting today in day one. But it's just too hard to predict. I'd say for anybody looking for a player prop, find the value play. Find the guy that's not supposed to get the hit. If you're interested in playing the Royals game, play Michael Massey to get a base hit. Why not? He's leading off. Stuff like that.
Yep.
But boy, the lines are so sharp, and it's the postseason, and the start times are weird, right?
Yeah.
You got a Brewers-Mets game that's starting at 4:30 local time.
Yeah.
You don't know how that's going to affect anything.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's bizarre too with what they're doing. Do you like how they're handling this in San Diego? You're fine with the rotation, with the order?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I was a little surprised that Darvish was the odd man out. I didn't know that it'd be him. They really like Michael King. And think about it. If you steal one with King, you're perfectly lined up to do whatever you want in the next series. Not that they're looking past the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
There were people, you could make a case for Musgrove opening. You could make a case for Cease being the guy tonight. But, God forbid you go down 0-1, which I do not see happening tonight because the Braves pitching is that desperate this evening. You've got two studs ready to win 2 in a row.
See Sale again? You think he's out for the year?
I don't know. I think it's just really curious because they had 3 chances to pitch Chris Sale in a win and get in scenario, and they didn't do it on either occasion. So I don't want to speculate on a guy's health. Maybe they're hoping that they can get through to the next round and reevaluate, but I don't think we're going to see Chris Sale in this round. That's just my personal feeling.
Okay. And who do you expect? Who's your pick to go to the World Series? What's the matchup?
Well, I hate falling in line with all my colleagues at MLB Network, but I feel like the Padres, this is the year. If you'd asked me 2 months ago, it was all Phillies, but they weren't the world beaters in August and September that they were the first 4 months of the season. And I know that they're flawed. They're not perfect this year, and there's some questions in Yankee pinstripes, but in a kind of depleted American League field, I like the Yankees. If you gun to my head, pick a dog, I think Cleveland could actually surprise people too.
I thought you did an excellent job. I felt your pain. I'm from Minnesota. We lost the North Stars. You went to so many games growing up in Oakland and being an A's fan. I thought that was a great tribute and send-off to where you would sit and all the great players and all the great games you saw in the Coliseum. I thought that was well done.
Yeah, thanks for that, Paulie. That it's just such a bummer that it happened like that. They didn't have to leave. I mean, we're talking about 20 years of botched negotiations. The city of Oakland, how completely clueless they are to let 3 pro sports franchises exit there in 6 years. Shame on them. I think they burden most of the blame, the city. And I maybe I'm being a Pollyanna here. I still think there's a back door for them getting back there. I know people in Vegas don't want to hear that, but I'd love it.
All right. Excellent job. Well, enjoy your work, and good luck to you in this postseason. Thanks for a few minutes, sir.
You got it, guys. See ya.
Matt Vasgersian, MLB Network, play-by-play with the Angels. In play, updates coming with the MLB playoffs, and we might have a final as well. Straight ahead, Visa and Follow the Money, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Top of the ninth, they play in Baltimore. KC clinging 1-0 lead. Runner on first, 2 outs. Bobby Witt just made an out. Bottom of the second in Milwaukee. 3-2 Mets. Terang's back on second. That guy is so blazing fast. He made a stand-up double, and it was like barely hit the left field.
Yeah.
I like it. Action, fast, and furious the entire show today.
That was impressive. Yep. Okay. So it was One game was fantastic on Monday Night Football. The other game, not so much. Good thing we did have a doubleheader, because the Tennessee-Miami game was tough to take. And now, stock down big time on McDaniel. And coaching's important. You know, now what happens with the Jets? And we were all over the Jets yesterday, and rightfully so. How do you lose that game? You allow Knicks to throw for 60 yards, and you get beat in 10-9. And the offensive issues, again, we mentioned Aaron Rodgers. Here was Aaron Rodgers and the back and forth on the cadence and what has happened as well between the Jets and the offensive line issues. This was Garrett Wilson on Bart and Hahn in New York. Quote, I don't think we do a lot of different stuff, to be honest. I watch football on Sundays, and I see a lot of teams mix it up and stuff like that. I don't think we do that. And I know personally my route tree hasn't been what it's been the last 2 years as far as the stuff I've been running. It's about figuring it out if it's the right identity and whether it's going to win games.
Wow.
Oh, boy. It's Hackett? Hackett?
Of course. He's sending shots via cannons right at his doorstep.
Can't get him the ball.
Who else would it be?
Well, I know, but also that's what I'm saying. But that's why is he the offensive coordinator? How does this? Because he's Rodgers' buddy, and then no creativity. Oh, can't get him the ball. What are we going to do? Oh, they're taking him away, and it just, it's bad. How about those comments? This is nuts. So the other thing about Adams.
How does Rodgers not recognize it though? Too.
Well, I know, yeah.
And
good point.
I'll tell you why. Because the piss poor coaching he's had in his entire career. Mike McCarthy, coach for 10 years.
Yeah.
Was it Ryan Clark?
Yes.
On ESPN. I played against him in the Super Bowl. It has never changed. It's the same stuff that we played against 10 years ago. So maybe he doesn't even know what good offense looks like. Maybe he just went out there and was such a good quarterback that he would carry just terrible coaching the entire time.
You can't defend the guy. I don't care if he's your friend. Oh, that's so bad. And now it's so Adams wants out, and the Raiders are listening to offers, but the Jets are a mess. Reunite him with. They can't get Wilson the ball.
According to the updated report now, second-round pick, part of the compensation.
Uh-huh.
So even they recognize that a first-round pick would be a little bit too aggressive.
Now, this really chaps my ass. So this was Rodgers, about cadence and penalties and what went on in the Denver game.
The cadence specifically, Robert said that might be something you guys have to dial back a little bit. Is that something you think could potentially help the situation?
It's one way to do it. The other way is hold them accountable. I mean, we haven't had an issue. We've had one false start. Morgan had one false start, I believe, until this. So, it's been a weapon. We use it every day in practice. We rarely have a false start. And to have, 5 today, it seemed like, 4 or 5. Yeah, it seems like an outlier. I don't know if we need to make mass changes based on, kind of an outlier game.
Good for him.
Yeah, he's exactly right.
He's spot on with that.
Yeah, so we're going to change it. Yeah, he had 13 penalties. It's every single game with not disciplined, not prepared, and not ready to go. And you're a defensive, quote, guru. This is your area of expertise. You can't stop the run. That's why you gave up one drive, but again, to just run the ball, and in field goal position, they beat you. Third down, guys wide open. Where's Sauce Gardner? What's going on? Touchdown pass. And then it's like, maybe he's going to. That is a serious weapon. No one in the history of the sport has been better at that. Drop, free play. Monday night, touchdown, free play. And Sal was like, we got to take that away. The penalties every single week, man. It's on you, and you're a bad
It's not
coach.
On the cadence. Stop
Absolutely
it.
Right. Absolutely.
You're terrible at your job, and after this, you should probably never be a head coach ever again. Go back to being a defensive coordinator. There's nothing wrong with being an elite coordinator. That's okay. But you've proven so far in your short stint in New York that you're awful at this job. I will also say that I'm getting there with the Vikings as well. Pauly, when you look at, and if you just, I know people don't want to do this, but before the season started, the Jets were laying 3.5 in this game against the Vikings, right? That's a month ago now. Look at their resume so far. Obliterated at the 49ers. They were fortunate to win the game at Tennessee and Will Levis.
Right.
So they then came back and played New England and pounded them, and it was like people were throwing parades for them, right? Like, this is what it's going to look like now. And then they played a bottom-of-the-barrel Denver team. Knicks is 12 of 25 for 60 yards. They can't come up with that win. Now they go to London to take on Minnesota, a team that week by week has gotten better, and they have that. You want to talk about an outlier? It was the Packers coming back and making. That was never a 2-point game. The Vikings went to Lambeau and destroyed them. That's a 4-touchdown game at halftime, basically.
Yeah.
They had 400-plus yards against San Francisco, and they beat up their passing game. And they dominated the 49ers defensive line, by the way, and they played Houston as a dog at home, and they killed them. Like, it's not... Vikings might be the best team in football, no joke. Jets are terrible.
I had to go no playoffs, even money, and I had to go under 10.5 wins today. And everything I said, and I was on the bandwagon, I was high on this team, but my concern was this awful coaching staff. And it's been a problem right away. Hall of Fame quarterback against a rookie, 60 yards passing, you lose the game. And my payoff here is Eagles, issues with the coaching. Bears, huge issues. Jets, huge issues. Atlanta, huge issues. Belichick and Vrabel, not coaching. How? Put the ego aside, do the right thing. Just because you're rich doesn't mean you're smart. It's ridiculous what these owners did. It's an embarrassment what happened in Atlanta. With the power struggle, I don't want Belichick calling the shots, and I'm protecting my own ass in the job, whatever. Belichick running any of those teams, Vrabel running any of those teams, forget about it.
Sure.
Oh, God, it's sick. Sick.
Like, what's the ceiling this year with Belichick as the head coach in Atlanta? But because of massive egos, they're like, no, we don't want to do this. Can't make it happen. Can't bring him into the building. It's going to be poisonous for us. And I'm going to be threatened for my gig.
Yeah.
Instead, they go with Raheem Morris. That's an inspiring hire, right?
Right. And what do we love? What's one of the biggest stories right now? We're in love with Washington. But Kingsbury, just like leave him alone, let him cook, let him run his offense, and let him be. And it's perfect. And then meanwhile, you got this crap with the Raiders. Adams wants out. You went with Getsy, who the Bears wanted nothing to do with, right? And you couldn't work out the deal with Kingsbury. He should have been your OC. Couldn't sync up the contract with Pierce. He walks. He goes to Washington. Peekaboo. Look at that. And look what he's doing to Daniels. And I got to watch this crap with the Raiders offense.
What we're talking about here is high school stuff with the Raiders. Honest to God. That's players going to the media and saying, I'm going to walk or demand a trade if they don't bring back Antonio Pierce. Mark Davis, okay, I'm going to fall for it.
Yeah.
7-game sample size, whatever it was. And he's making just critical mistakes that he's coaching football in the 1970s. It's like, come on, man. You can't be this lost in space.
Right, and the people see right through it. Because there was a ton of Browns fans there as well. Our guy Tony Rizzo and everyone who was at the game, that happens every game. Where it's all, wow, look at the opposing fans. It's going to continue to be a problem, Mark, because you can't win.
Fast forward 9 months to where we are today. The two guys who are at the front beating the drum for him to be the head coach.
That's right.
Max Crosby, I want out if you don't bring back Antonio Pierce. Davante Adams, trade me if you don't bring him back. He's our guy. Adams now today news both sides. Adams wants out. Raiders are shopping him. Max Crosby, according to some reports, didn't even show up to the game against the Browns at the stadium. Do you know how awful that is for your teammates? If you can't play in the game and you don't show up, I would then go to management and say, get him out of here. And those were the two players who duped Mark Davis into signing Antonio Pierce and making him their new head coach. It's a loony bin that we're talking about here. Horrendous ownership.
Yep.
To fall for something like that.
Yep. And you fell for McDaniels.
Yeah, another one.
Yeah.
Another one.
Didn't work out, too. That was a disaster as well. All right, don't make your next bet till you check out Juice Reel. Free tool, bettors love it, REEL. Lets you connect all your betting accounts wherever you bet. All your betting history automatically loads in. More than giving you in-depth analytics on your own bets, it uses the $4.5 billion of bets the community sinks into the app to help everyone bet smarter. Get stats on yourself, follow real winning bettors, fade the losers. Have a great football season by using Juice Reel as your go-to free betting tool. Grab your phone, download the app now. It's free. Juice Reel.
1-0 KC. Bottom of the ninth, and here we go. The Orioles actually have the middle of the order coming up, I believe, right? Yeah, it's O'Hearn, cleanup hitter today in the lineup.
And it's in the game. Boy, this one is really going to stink. Really going to be tough to take.
The Orioles have 10 hits?
No, 10's in the game.
Oh, combined.
But for Burns to do this, makes one mistake and you could get beat at home 1-0 and lose your 9th straight playoff game. This one really is going to sting.
8 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 84 pitches.
Oh.
That's an absolute killer.
Harmless, right? 1 out, nobody on, a walk, steals second. Gets the third, and then the big 2-out hit.
Well, I know this. The owner and the CEO of this great property, Derek Stevens, he absolutely loves Major League Baseball. We'll get his thoughts on today's first day of the postseason. Do they have any liability here, I wonder, on the Detroit Tigers? We'll ask him coming up.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. Owner, CEO of this great property, Circa Resort and Casino in downtown Las Vegas, Derek Stevens makes his weekly visit with us here on the program. Good to see you. How are you?
Good to see you.
You love baseball.
Oh, man. Isn't baseball unbelievable? I mean, from Sunday and then Monday, this crazy doubleheader with the Mets and the Braves and how that played out, and then zeroing in on what's going on in the Diamondbacks, and nothing happened, and then they had to fly out, get out, 3 a.m, and then when this starts off with this, with Scooble, what a game this was with Scooble.
I power rate baseball playoffs #1, just barely ahead of the NHL.
Ooh, wow.
Love them.
Wow.
Can't get enough of them.
You're singing, you're preaching to the choir with me. I love baseball playoffs. It's unbelievable.
As good as it gets.
You told me this 2 years ago, and you blew my mind, that they handle playoff time on the Nerfies. Your runs scored, yes, no, first inning is crazy. The bets you took on this in the Tiger game?
It's unbelievable. It just keeps growing. I mean, today, I mean, all these, 5-figure bets on everybody's betting a Nerfie, by the way. We're at 160, 170, 180.
You got the
$2. Yeah, I mean, everybody cashed. Everybody cashed early. That's for sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
How about this Tiger story? So you love the Tigers, and to come out of nowhere,
and
80-1 just to make the playoffs in late August, and then 11-1 with 3 weeks left in the season. You steal game 1. You're $1.60 adjusted series price. Are you down for pitching chaos now tomorrow and maybe the rest of the way?
Yeah. So you got 2 games. You got to win 1 out of 2. You got to figure Olsen's going to go one of them. But at the same point, if you're going to go pitching chaos, maybe pitching chaos should be game 2. Because if you can upset the Astros tomorrow with your pitching chaos, then you're saving Olsen to pitch game 1 and Scooble pitches game 2.
Could do that.
Yeah.
I don't hate that whatsoever.
Yeah, so that was one thing. I'm kind of on a couple group chats here thinking about why shoot Olsen now? Because then you're going to be pushing to 2 and 3. If you're going to have a pitching chaos game, maybe pitching chaos should be game 2.
Do you have any built-up liability on the Tigers to win the American League pennant or to win the World Series here?
Yeah, we do. From a sportsbook perspective, our guys have told me it's the worst outcome. I've told them I don't really want to know.
Okay. I bet those are big numbers.
Yeah,
that's right.
So, but no, okay. I don't think it's that. But I think the Tigers are the biggest liability we had. But it's like a lot of things. You remember that year that the St. Louis Blues came back and they win, and then there's certain situations for to have a big liability. You need to have a team that was either underrepresented or an underdog with long odds, and then the money starts pouring in. Well, I mean, look where the Tigers were at All-Star break, and these numbers were as high as 500-1. I think
you're correct.
And the liability can start adding up quickly when you got those long numbers.
Is there something on San Diego? I mean, what were they? They were 50-50, and now the best record in baseball since.
Yeah, I mean, I know they were betting San Diego, but they were betting San Diego all year long. You know, I mean, I know that we do fine with the Dodgers. I know we do fine with the Yankees, but I think it's the longer shots that you get a little liability. I mean, San Diego was unbelievable in the second half as well, just like the Tigers were in the second half team.
What does it mean for business, and how unexpected is this that we're talking 100 degrees in October? And I mean, we were 2 weeks ago. The pool couldn't move. It's cabanas. NFL Sunday 95. Couldn't believe it. So what does this mean for business? I stocked the big balls too yesterday. But it's SRO out there at the pool in this 100-degree weather.
Yeah, I mean, global warming is working for us. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, think about this in the fall. We're going to start seeing the fall. It's going to start getting chilly at these football games at some point, probably in the next week or two. But yeah, I mean, having sunshine and 90 to 100 degrees out here is perfect. And it's really perfect because it's the fall. you don't get sunburn. You know, it's not like it's in March or April when you can really get sunburn. You don't get sunburn, it seems like. So it's been great. I mean,
and by the way, you can still dip into the water when it's like 100 degrees. The water.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Perfect.
Right.
Royals just won.
Yep, 1-0 final.
Yeah.
That is tough to take. Now what?
Yeah.
What do you think of that? 1-0. Burns throws a gem and he loses.
Yeah.
What a game.
Mike Palm and I were talking about all day. Yeah. I don't know if you had Mike on earlier, but
he's on tomorrow.
He he was all over Kansas City today. I was a little surprised. I think Burns is going to throw a game. I just think Kansas City going to be live. I'm like, wow. So I know he cashed pretty good today on this.
I think he also has him to win the series too.
He did. Yeah, he did save for the series. Yeah.
I thought that was too high. Yeah. 180, 190 with the series price. So Derek Stevens, our guest, some people call him that man from Circa. Well, what do you think of Ricky White, the comments wide receiver with UNLV with the Sluka business, and then they come out, pay the offensive line, Derek. But what do you
call
think
that guy from Circa?
Yeah, that guy from Circa. $100,000 for the offensive line, but Sluka quits the team. Well, he said a lot of back and forth. They go out, play the best game of the season, put it on a Fresno team with a solid defense, and now they have the big game coming up Friday against Syracuse. What do you think of all this?
Well, I mean, Ricky's been kind of a friend of the family around here for a while, so he's not unknown here. He's got a bunch of friends from his Michigan State days, just his buddies. I didn't even know who he was 2 years ago, but he's hanging around because of a bunch of his Michigan State buddies, like like guys like Cam Ross and Big Balls and all these guys. Kind of Kofi when he's here, all knew him. So they take him out. They go out to dinner and stuff like that. He's always a straight-laced kid, and got to know him a little bit. He enjoys the steaks at Barry's, I can tell you that. But I didn't even know the guy played football.
Yeah.
And then I find out, oh no, this guy's going to be potentially a number 1 draft pick. And then all of a sudden we put it out there. I didn't even think the guy remembered. So it was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was a good job by him.
It was a great job.
I thought it was funny to actually bring that up like that.
I thought it was really funny. I also think it gets a little crazy. Like, this is like something off the cuff that we came up with in a meeting. Mike give him a call, all that. Now I'm seeing stuff on Twitter like, oh man, a casino owner's getting involved in this is bad, this is good, this is bad. I don't know. There's a lot of publicity that came out of it. It was we had a lot of fun with it. I mean, I don't know what's going to come out of it, but I do know Mike Palm's got about 8 or 10 meetings he's got to take because I'm not taking them. He's got everybody wants to meet now. Everybody wants to meet with Circa to see if there's an NIL opportunity.
Sure, why not? Survivor's down to what, 480?
I think 480. Yeah.
Yeah. This week is insane.
Yeah, it was last Sunday. We were up here. We were doing a little filming, and we were with a few groups. And everyone in the group had the Jets, and they all had done filming beforehand. This is all for the, Circus Survivors show, next year's docu series, and they were all great people. They were there with their friends, their wives, this and that. We were all rooting for them, and obviously, I don't want anybody getting knocked out anymore. It was gut wrenching on that Jets on the last field goal there.
Imagine losing like that.
Oh,
give up 10 points, you lose the game.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pouring rain.
Sick.
Pouring rain, you just never know. Something funny is going to happen. Yeah.
Who would you use this week? Seattle?
I would definitely go with Seattle. I like Seattle at home. Having the Giants make that road trip, if you've got Seattle available, that would be my number. That would be my selection. Matter of fact, I just clicked that in my home league. I just took Seattle. That's what I'm taking.
I think a bunch of people have used Seattle already.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people used San Francisco last week.
That's right.
So now they're like the biggest favorites on the board this week against Arizona.
Yep. Look at this breaking news here. It's not really breaking news, but I guess for ESPN it is. This developing story. How do you handicap where Devontae Adams is going to go?
I know.
How do you handicap all these trades? Where's Waddle going? Where's Tyreek Hill going?
How about Tyreek Hill goes back to Kansas City?
Be something.
If I'm the Raiders, I don't want to trade him with the Chiefs. Mitch says take the pick, whatever, move on. We'll get ready for the future. But if you're
the Raiders, you don't want to trade Devontae Adams to the Chiefs.
I understand help these guys out, go for the three-peat as well. How about a Millions update? Do you have a Millions update?
Yeah, you know what's amazing in the Millions? We had one individual in first, one half a point behind, and like 21 tied for third. going in last week. So 13-2 was the top, then it was 12-2-1, and then it was 12-3. Well, we end up with a four-way chop. So it was the first place money, and the second place money, and the third place money, and the fourth place money all added together to a four-way chop. We've never had a four-way chop before. I think it was like $64,000 a piece on a four-way chop. But it's a four-way chop with the lowest record we've ever had, 16-4 in a quarter.
Yeah, right.
It's very doable.
Got it done. Yeah.
It's very doable.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of chaos so far.
A lot of chaos.
Like you're going to need with the Tigers pitching.
Chaos, you never know. That's right. If it happens, Nicole knows. We may be, if the Tigers win tomorrow, we're happy. If they don't, we're flying to Houston. We're going to Game 3.
Oh, there you go. Awesome.
All right.
That's terrific.
Good move.
Love having you in. Thanks so much for the time, as always. We appreciate that.
Thanks, guys.
There you go. Derek Stevens, owner, CEO of Circa Resort and Casino. Doug Kazarian on the program next. We have 2 WNBA games to bet on tonight. We'll find out what he likes coming up.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Follow the Money has a special offer this week only. Get 40% off football season special when you use promo code FTM. Sign up now. Full VSiN Pro access to everything we do through the Super Bowl. Every best bet, every host, every guest. 19 hours live programming. Proven betting systems. Everyone loves the betting splits, updated every 5 minutes. 40% off the football season this week only. Promo code FTM expires October 7th. Go get it now. VSiN.com/subscribe. 40% off. VSiN.com/subscribe. Code FTM.
All right. A lot of baseball betting talk today on the program. NFL, college, Heisman sprinkled in there as well. We'll close with 2 other games that are going on tonight. People want to bet. And it's the WNBA, and the season is dwindling down. We don't have many games left. And Doug Kazarian loves the sport, and he is kind enough to join us for a couple of minutes here on the Progressive Guest Line to talk about both these games tonight. Doug, good afternoon. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
Good to be with you. When you say that it's his, last time I was on, you said it's his baby and things like that. I have a buddy who made it the equivalent of Will Ferrell's character in Wedding Crashers. Going to funerals. He's like, you bet in the WNBA when baseball playoffs are going on, it's like Taz going to funerals.
Meatloaf.
Do I know your buddy? Do I happen to know your buddy? Because I love that analogy.
No. This is a guy random. Yeah.
Oh, that is fantastic. All right. So the Liberty, they you know what? They did quite well against the Aces for the entire year.
Oh, yeah.
Revenge from last season.
Unfinished business stuff.
All right. And guys, they were never really threatened in game 1 of this series. We go back at it again tonight. They are lane 4 is pretty much a number painted across the screen. Maybe a couple of 4.5s out there. Total around 163 and a half, 164. Doug, what do you make of the current numbers?
Yeah, the old Doug would be firing on the Aces. 2-time defending champs, bounce back spot, everything. But no, the Aces do not play good defense. They had ratcheted up the defense a little bit the final week or so of the regular season and then did well against the Storm in the first round. But Seattle's like the worst shooting team in the W from behind the arc. So I think it was just missing open shots more than anything. The Liberty are the better team. They won all 3 regular season meetings, coming in Las Vegas. Now, Chelsea Gray wasn't quite back yet, and so I understand that. But this team is a much better version than the one that lost to the Aces last year in the finals. Brianna Stewart has got over the hump a little bit and playing better against Asia Wilson, but also Vandersloot's off the bench. They have Phoebus starting. Jonquel Jones is a better version of herself, and they were a newer team last year. They had all that free agency acquisition, a super team formed in the offseason, but now they're much more polished. Now, Becky Hammond's the better coach. She might have some counter moves and things along those lines, but there's an Aces sort of arrogance or confidence that sort of lacks the sense of urgency. They think they can just flip the switch and win the title. They might, but I just don't see the desperation out of them, and so I like the Liberty -4.
How about Liberty against the field? $1.40 to win the title. You want Liberty or the field?
Yeah. I think the worst time to bet it is right now, right? Like this is the spot where the dog has to show up. And what's the risk versus reward? If you bet the $1.40, let's say you don't bet it and they win, it's like, all right. So they're going to be up 2-0, coming to Vegas. Like you're still going to get a chance to bet the Liberty at a decent price. I wouldn't do it right now when the spot and everything is least favorable for them. You know, the game off the win where the Aces, I'm not saying it's must win, but it's almost must win in the best of 5.
Well, I would also say this. The problem to me there would be the Lynx, I think, kind of had the Liberty's number this year. They match up with them really, really well. But now the rub with that is they're down 1-0. And are they laying too many points tonight against a Connecticut team that has done very well against them this season?
Yeah, I think you have to blindly bet the Lynx here. I think you're going to get a desperate team, right? And we've seen this in the NBA over the years. If you lose game 1 at home, game 2, the other team relaxes a little bit. They got what they came for, right? At least one road win. There's going to be just a human element. Now, is it impossible for the Lynx to lose? Of course not. They're dead last in the WNBA in rebounding. So they're going to have open shots, we think. Sun defense, very good. But they'll have open shots, and they got to hit them. Nafisa Collier's got to play better. But I like the Lynx tonight. And for whatever, I mean, people who are into trends, obviously there's been different coaches throughout this run and some different players. But the Connecticut Sun have won and covered 7 straight game 1s. Some of those as an underdog as well. And then the game 2 in all those series, they have failed to cover 0-6. So in the previous 6. So there's just a human element to this. Now, Marina Mabry's the difference maker. This Connecticut Sun team would not have a chance to win the title if they did not acquire Mabry midseason. She gives them the shooting. They moved her to the starting lineup. She's a giant X factor. In fact, at ESPN Bet, you can get her 25-1 to win Finals MVP, which I think is a pretty good price. Now, there's 3 different players on the Sun who could win Finals MVP, but I think her shooting and everything is just going to be the difference. Now, Alyssa Thomas will have triple-double type numbers, but I think Mabry 25-1 worth it. I wouldn't do the 15-1, which is, I believe, offered at FanDuel. So I think Mabry keeps them in against good teams. She keeps them comparable, but I still think the Lynx bounce back. They have to, and I trust their coach as well.
I'm surprised at the adjusted series price. It was as low as $1.55. They steal game 1. It's a best of 5. They have home court. They beat them a couple times this year. Doesn't that seem odd to you? Shouldn't it be a lot higher?
Well, I'm not good at this in terms of figuring out the projected lines, but basically all the math is, and I got to learn for only a handful of odds makers really know how to do this, but you just do the money lines of each of the next 4 games, right? But it's not binary. It can be different order, right? It can go down 0-2, then, right? But the Sun won't be as big of favorites at home in games 3 and 4 as the Lynx are in games 2 and 5. So that's why it's shaded a little bit. Like the Sun might be 2.5, 3-point home favorites, obviously barring injury, but that's why. But to your point, and you asked me about this with the Liberty in terms of the futures, this is the worst time to bet the Sun, given the spot and everything in a series price. Like I would look to bet them. Now you're rolling the dice a little bit, but hopefully if you like the Sun side, after it's 1-1. Any
props you like? That was a great call.
So
with the
Sabrina
finals.
Ionescu, yeah, I mean, I like Ionescu over. I mean, she's just like on her game, right? So in terms of assists, I think she's going to be distributing. The problem with someone, I mean, even Chelsea Gray's prop for assists is only 4.5. Like the ball pops so much on these teams because they're so well balanced that, I mean, if I could take it over on hockey assists, that would be better. Like they're just usually one pass away and they're playmakers and things like that. But I like the unders in both games. So it's tough for me to take overs on any of these assists or things like that. I lean Kelsey Plum under 17.5 only because Becky Hammond went the defensive route against Jewel Lloyd in round 1 and played Plum a few minutes less and played Tiffany Hayes a little bit more off the bench because she was a better defender. Maybe they do that in this game. But both fourth quarters in game 1 died. Like the Lynx scored 8 points.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be looking to play some second half unders if things go a certain way in the first half, but I think this Liberty Aces game might be a rock fight by their standards.
Yeah. Well, and to go back to Pauly's question about taking the Liberty versus the field right now, if we can agree that the Lynx could actually beat the Liberty in a series and parlay that with your bet there on Mabry to win Finals MVP, you're telling us basically that you think that the Liberty can be had by either one of these teams.
I do, because the Sun are way better now with Mabry. Without Mabry, they had no 3-point scoring. I mean, they were extremely limited. Mabry is a giant, fills a giant void they had and what made them sort of pretenders, not contenders. Now I actually think they can win the title. They got a little bit better off the bench and just the pieces fit, and they needed that scoring because someone like Alyssa Thomas can't shoot. Brianna Jones can't shoot that much from outside. So they just needed that weapon to spread everyone around and make Thomas driving a bigger threat because she actually has a three-point shooter that can bomb threes other than Carrington or Bonner, who occasionally can make some threes.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome spot, Doug. Love talking to you. Go to the website, onlyplayers.com. Get the app there as well. Great betting information on a daily basis. The live betting, too, off the charts. Good luck tonight. We appreciate it.
Ma, the meatloaf.
That was a great scene. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's it. I love that analogy.
Get that, yeah. We saw Arthur, too. Arthur got in the shot there, just laying down. That's like little French bulldog. That's a good dog.
Yep, 4-3 Brewers now.
Oh, Severino.
In the fourth. And did he actually get out of it now?
Is he out of the game? You got to take him out.
That's 8 hits now from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
If he comes up for the fifth, take him out.
He's got 79 pitches, 8 hits, 4 earned. I was hoping that we could cash that prop on his under outs by the end of the show.
Yeah.
But we'll play it by ear here.
Good that. Stay tuned. VSiN primetime coming up. Jonathan Von Tobel, Matt Humans, 7 p.m. Stick around, cashing out with Joe at 11 p.m. Eastern. Wake up tomorrow, VSiN Morning Line with Michael Lombardi, Grace Remington, Harrison Sanford at 7 a.m. Eastern. VSiN.com, YouTube TV, iHeartRadio app. You can even tell Alexa, play VSIN on the iHeartRadio app. All your favorite podcast platforms as well. All that coming up. What a day it was. Three playoff games going on at the same time.
Oh, it's a game changer. A month into the new schedule. Digging it, man.
Running a business is hard work. Building your website shouldn't be. With Wix, you can express your ideas, give direction, then leave the heavy lifting to AI, from site creation to branded content and images. Have fun with the details. Customize what you want the way you want, and manage your whole business from a centralized dashboard with expert AI tools. Build, scale, and enjoy the incredible results. You can do it all yourself on Wix.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.